Hello.
Well,
Hi.
hello. Hello, hi.
Hi, hi, hi.
All right, so I'm going to kick it off. Hey,
Yes.
everybody. I'm H.D. Alleman. I'm a spiritual counselor, channel, and medium, and I have invited one of my good friends and colleagues, Samara Bishop, to have a chat with me. Hello, Samara.
Hi, hi, hi. How are you?
I'm great. So I am here in the US. You are currently in Australia, but you're
In
getting ready to
Australia.
be, where is it that you're headed and when?
Back to Wales in the UK for a couple of months next month. So just before the year of the horse kicks in, we'll be galloping over that side of the world for a bit.
Going to your homeland.
Go to the homeland. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Big
so
change.
here's what we're up to, everybody. So for anybody that's watching this, whether you're connected to me or Sam, if you're in the private groups that we both have in Facebook, so mine's Soul Speakeasy, Samara's is. I'm gonna let you talk.
She, Seekers, Healers, Empaths. You type that in, you'll get it. Yep.
hmm So she and I both have private Facebook groups. We both are full-time practicing channels and mediums that work with clients. We lead small groups. The flavor of what we do is different, but we are friends and support each other behind the scenes. It's nice to have friends that do something similar to what you do to bounce things off of. So my spirit team said, because 2026 is such a pivotal year of change and transformation for humanity, that instead of me just going in and talking about it, they said, bring your friends in and y'all have a conversation about it. And what will come up through that conversation will be just more fun for you both. But also, there are likely going to be some things that we channel here while we're live because you and me
100.
throwing the ball back and forth, that's
Yep.
always going to happen. It could be for each other, it could be for the collective, likely for the collective. So that's what we're doing. How's that sound?
That sounds fabulous to me. Let's get into it and see what comes out because
Yeah.
it does feel like a big energetic bombshell this year.
hmm So, right off the bat, as a matter of fact, I'm going to give my body permission. I'm a little model here for a second what it looks like to do this work full time. And Sam, I know you're the same way. Our physical bodies, when we're working with clients and even just during this conversation with each other, are going to alert us when we're onto something. It's going to tell us like when something's up, like we're
It's yep,
really in the body a lot of what we're receiving. Obviously, we hear and see some imagery and stuff, but already as we're just kicking this thing off, my solar plexus is swirling. And that's always my signal that there's so much change coming. Can you feel that? Like what? I'm
yep.
just going to do a check-in with your physical body. Like if you do a quick body scan, knowing that we're talking about 2026, what are you feeling?
A lot in the sacral and the solar, definitely. The solar feels like alert, and the sacral feels like almost giddy excitement, like excitement, but that can also be
Nervous?
a bit of anxiety or nervousness for what's coming, those types of things. I think that
Mhm.
is, yeah, feeling into that energy, but definitely makes me want to sit upright and pay attention.
There's probably not a better mantra for all the mantras we could come up with in this conversation. Pay attention
Yeah,
is a good one, right? We'll come back around and get some keywords that came up during this one. Pay attention is a great one.
yeah. Let me write that down.
So, so here's if we like, we could call this an energy update because you and I both love astrology. We love numerology. We love human design. Really, what we love is tools that back up what we're receiving from spirit. And when I look across, so if I use the tools, but I don't want to dive too much because we're not professional astrologers, we're channels and mediums, except spirit is always giving us signs and signals and mirroring that back to us from the planets and from the numbers. It's all frequency and energy. But when I look across the fact that we've moved from a 9 year in numerology into a 1 year, there's change and newness kicking off a 9 year cycle. When I look at what the astrologers have been talking about for years in Saturn and Neptune coming together at 0 degrees Aries, a direct conjunction, which is the first degree of the astrology wheel, right? And we'll talk about what Saturn and Neptune coming together means. I really want to hear your gut instinct on that. But when I look at that, and I look even throughout history, and not that I've gone and done a ton of research, but I have looked at a couple of things throughout last year, knowing this was coming and leading small groups that are getting ready to go through this, it is just screaming. And I think that's why our solar plexus and just the center of our beingness is stirring, because the center of being human right now is getting ready to shift.
Yeah. 100%.
Everything. There's just so much change. We will not be the same humans on a cellular level as long as we don't resist what's coming. If we lean into it, we will be different on a cellular level by the end of this year. How does that feel for a wild
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I
shot at
think,
it?
yeah, there's going to be, we will look back. I think 2026 is going to be one of those years that we look back and we go, "Phew," and it'll go so quick and at the same time so slow. Does that make sense? Like, it'll be like, why isn't change happening to me? Everyone's saying this. And then if you aren't taking action on those things, it'll feel like nothing is moving. But at the same time, we are in September before you can blink. Do you know what I mean? So there's a real quantum energy for me underlying all of this. But I think the thing that's coming through, if we're talking about energetic bodies, is the energy center of the heart as well. I think one of the biggest things for this year is if we can walk in heart open, which is the mystic's path, which is literally, we aren't necessarily, it doesn't matter if we cannot see how tomorrow is going to end. It doesn't. And so many times we want the oracles to tell us the better thing this year is to literally tap into that mystic essence, heart open. I have no idea what is going to happen. Just show me how good it gets. And almost in your own inner reality, like almost just have faith that it is going to work out no matter what is happening on an individual, a collective, a global level. But if we can really tap in, because the mystic's path isn't to see, it is to act from that place of faith. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is all happening from, I know everyone wants to be a mystic so we can see and channel and all the rest of it. But to me, the magic or the majesty of the mystic is that walking in faith. And I think that's one of the biggest things, to walk into this year unknown, almost like blindfolded, but know by the end of it, we will be where we need to be. Do you know what I mean? And if not, we'll get dragged there.
That's a great way to put it. Like, I feel like for those that resist because they are so deep in fear, and I say this with a lot of compassion because fear comes up all the time. We're never going to do it without the fear. I think that's one of the big points. Like, if I could, what do I really
What do you
want to
think
say?
about it? Courage and fear coexist. They're part of the same.
Yeah.
You
The fear's going to be there, but if we can push past it and not let it threaten
tap into courage.
us, and tap into, that's really well said.
And I think that's another point for this year is the polarity of everything, is understanding the polarity of fear and courage are part of that same spark. Do you know what? They're part of the same essence, they're part of the same archetype, just the shadow and the light. We can do that as we're, I feel like
stepping through this year.
Stepping through. But if I'm thinking about it, or the things coming in, is I know we're going into the year of the horse. And if you can get on that horse and you can just start to walk, then you trot, then we'll be galloping to where we need to go by the end of it. Do you know what I mean? If you are in that, you can understand the polarity of all of it, which is there's going to be creation and destruction going on this year together, do you know? And that's okay.
I do know. And the reason I know is because I can't help but bring this up. So one of the things that I do are the small groups called the Lighthouse. And each round of the Lighthouse, which there's one starting next weekend. So for the last 2 weeks, I've been deep in conversation with the guides that are stepping in. And it's 3 really powerful goddesses. They came through as one singular voice, but what they're representing, and I literally have, as a matter of fact, my notebook is right here. I'll even show you. This is me in conversation with them, just taking notes, most of the time with my eyes closed. Do you see this?
Yep.
The destroyer, when they first introduced themselves as the builder, the destroyer, and the safe space in between, that's the very first thing they said. They didn't give me names. They just said they're the builder, the destroyer, and the safe space between. I was like, okay. I'm thinking collie vibes because yeah, the fire horse is not
So
going to
yeah.
sit still, right? It's not collie, but then they introduced themselves as love, fear, and peace. And I was like, I wouldn't have put peace in between those things, but okay. And like if that was the tipping point between love and fear, that's one way to put it. The alpha, the omega, and the mother. I was like,
That's that 0
huh,
point manifestation field. The zero, the peace is the zero field, right? Of in between, it's that neutrality of the extremes. Mm.
where we're safe, where we feel safe, right? So we're going to go back and forth. That's why they brought that up. Uh, when I sum up everything I've received from just those goddesses in the last 2 weeks, anytime someone's been stepping into this lighthouse group, I've been telling them that to expect for this to be very existential. We're really going to be looking at deep things like life and death and our concept of what that looks like. So this is, I, I don't know what else to call it other than quantum leap. Like, what do I think the actual potentials are right now? Whew. Like,
Huge.
huge quantum leap potentials for humanity's consciousness as a whole. Over the next decade, if we think the last 20 or 30 years has had a lot of growth, which it has, for humans understanding their soul and something deeper than just being alive and doing our work and just all of it, right? So for us doing this work on a regular basis, we're always expanding because they teach us constantly. I think all of humans are going to be on a whole other level with what we get and what our conscious is capable of understanding, and that expansion and where that's going to take us excites the hell out of me, but I know it scares a lot of people.
Oh, 100%. I also think this year is embodied because it can energetically it will get really if you are if you are an empath and you feel a lot and you sense the unseen and those types of things, yeah, the
A
body is
body.
really yeah for bringing it
I
in.
have pages of this, and that's everything the goddesses have been talking about. Like, this is all about the body. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I also think for one of the things that I've tapped into thinking about 2026 is this is where we really understand metaphysics on bigger levels. Like it's our beliefs. We have we can't comprehend how powerful the mind is. But if we are believing or going into this year with fear, if we are going into this year oh my God, I don't want this to happen. I don't want to. We are literally calling that in so quick. If we can believe that everything is working, like our beliefs around ourselves, not even so much the collective, but what we feel like we are worthy of, those types of things, all of it is also interconnected. But it's the glasses or the eyes that we view the world with, we'll see that come back 100 times. So if you are thinking money is tight or whatever, that is going to expect the bills to come through in ways that we haven't really like people who are really deep into this work or work in this field might have experienced that over the last couple of years. Like, my God, precognition is through the roof right now. But
Hmm.
for the general people, it'll be like, oh, I feel like my relationship is on the rocks. And then, boom, it happens. And you're like, I was only thinking that yesterday. It'll be that fast. Um,
For
and I
sure.
do think, but yeah, our beliefs walking into this, because there is so much fear being poured around outside of us. If you look at the media, if you look at anything like that, and it's really important that we are constantly coming back to ourselves, our body, our energy system, our reality. Because
Yeah.
there is this theme of displacement this year that is coming in on a collective level, on a global, like we're all going to feel a bit displaced now and
Oh,
again. Like we don't belong here. What's going on? But I feel like we really need to understand discernment in all of it. If I'm not rambling too much there.
no, 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 that's what we're here to do. Look, we're just recording a conversation with friends. We don't know who's going to watch it, but you and I are going to get something out of it. But I trust they wouldn't have let us to do this if it wasn't going to serve something greater. That's why really we're here
Yeah.
is to have fun with each other, but really to try to be of service. So, so what I can hear my team talking about, um, is, and I have felt this too. So everyone's talking about the Saturn and Neptune So by chance, if somebody's watching this, it's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Saturn and Neptune, it like from our perspective here on Earth, being at the exact same place at the exact same degree, which is 0 degrees of Aries, which is happening uh like on February it's towards the end of February. Let's see. I had some dates written down. Let's just do this. January 26th really kicks it all off when Neptune moves into Aries. These planets did a little do-si-do. Last year felt like nothing could really land because all these outer planets were shifting signs, but then they retrograded back. It's like we got one toe in the water, but then everyone a little bit pulled back like it's not time yet, and it wasn't. Well, now they're stepping into this new energy, this new vibe, and they're going to stay there. What's really gotten my attention, like Saturn changes signs every 2.5 years. That's not as big as Neptune. So I don't know about you, but I keep feeling, and what my team's talking about is if I were to direct people to go study one thing in astrology and understand it better for how it's going to impact you, but also all of us on the globe for the next decade, between 10 and 15 years, it's Neptune. It's actually Neptune's change, and here's why. Let me feed one more in that I want to hear what you have to say about this. Neptune, the last time, so Neptune's moving to Aries where it's going to stay for the next 14 years. It'll retrograde again, but it's going to go so far into those 30 degrees that when it retrogrades, it won't go back out. So it'll be in Aries and stay there for the next 14 years. The last time that Neptune moved into Aries, which was 1861, that kicked off some major events that are so tied to what Neptune represents.
Like
It
what? Give
was
me an
it was
example.
it was the American Civil War, which was the North and the South. Like 1861 is exactly when the US went into battle where this imaginary line was drawn between the North and the South, and the battle was really over. Do you want slaves still, or are we ready to evolve beyond enslaving humans? And guess what else happened that exact same year? The Russian serf emancipation, where even though the history books say that they weren't slaves, yeah, they were. They were serfs. They couldn't even leave the land. How is that not slavery? Finally, a czar, whatever his name was it Alexander the Second, whatever it was, uh, did away with serfism, whatever that's called. But like basically, humanity rose up and was fighting for Aries, which is fire, which is fight for what you believe in. Humanity was willing to sacrifice a lot for an ideal, and that is what Neptune is all about, ideals. So that makes every hair on my head stand up because there are still atrocities happening across the globe. And do I think the next decade is going to see us risking a lot to stand up for how we treat animals, how we treat other humans, how we treat the oceans? I mean, Neptune is Poseidon. Like the ocean and water is very involved in this. Neptune is the watery sign. So it's like, is the earth going to fight back and what humanity's doing to it in some way and be like, you better treat the earth better or you guys are all in deep doo-doo. I don't know. But like child, the stuff that we don't really want to talk about, but all the gross stuff, like it's just, we cannot take it into the future. And that's exactly what happened in 1861.
Yeah, talk about mirror. I think that's the mad thing with astrology is it can, I don't know, some people look at it as woo-woo, but we are so directly affected by the energies. And
We
you can
really
trace it
are.
all back throughout history, right? That you would look, when did that happen? What happened with the sky? So I think really looking at those things, you've got to look
Mhm.
at the archetypes or the meaning of them. So
Yeah.
and like for instance, Saturn, everyone always freaks out at Saturn, like he's the disciplinarian. But to me, it's like Gandalf. Do you know what I mean? You can work with that energy like mad, like it's a wise adept, knows the discipline you need to create whatever. Do you know what I mean?
It
Like
can be,
it
yeah. If the word you use is perfect. Like if you bring your own discipline and like
if you're
almost,
devoted to what you want, yeah.
yeah.
If you, it is good to look at where these land in your own natal charts because then you can really get a gist of the energies that it's bringing onto you. So, for example, for me, I think we looked at this, didn't we? It's 0 degrees of Aries, which is in my sixth house in astrology, which is all about work, service, body, health. So if I really want to create in those areas, it is brilliant. And Neptune is a fabulous, because Neptune is one of the things that it almost can't be predicted. It's out of the blue. It's like, do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It can it's electric on some level. It's like that. Well, it's not necessarily electric, but it's that to me, it brings a lot of deep revelations, those types of things. Like it's the intuition. It's when we get those epiphanies out of the blue. So
Oh,
I
it's very
feel,
spiritual. I mean, like Neptune is directly related to spirituality because of that depth.
and the dreams, your dream world, what you are creating, those
Hmm.
types of things. So,
Hmm.
but I do think we have to put in the work this year, which is why Saturn is the planet of work. Like, it's playing such a big part in us building what we want as an individual, as a collective, those types of things, as the world, exactly what you just said. But I wouldn't be surprised if we are looking at those similar collective events this year, like on big levels.
So
Because
it's
I feel
really,
like,
go ahead, go ahead.
oh, going into 2027, everything changes for humanity. And I think this is the almost like the, I don't know, I don't want to say fucking atomic bomb, but the atomic bomb of that happening. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes we need something big to happen in order for change to happen massively. That doesn't mean, I don't want people thinking there's going to be a fucking, bomb or whatever, but I do feel like it'll affect us all. Do you know, it's got a very 2019 feel, like we're all going to be going through this together. It's going to make us all sit up.
Yeah. And for it to be so much about ideals and what humanity as a whole is holding as ideals and what's acceptable and not acceptable, that's, and how we're going to be and treat people and each other going forward. That's why there's just so much of that stirring right now, which is why everyone's a
But I think
little.
that comes down to us this year treating ourselves right. Like that is so,
I agree.
like, so big. So for anyone in this field that are, your lighthouse sessions, those types of things, it starts with us. Do you know what I mean? We can't, it starts with each of us, our own little tiny universes that we walk in. And there's 8 billion of us walking around in our own little tiny universes, do you know, in this world. But I think it's big for that. It's big for the self. But I think we have to lean towards loving it all. Do you know what I mean? There's always
Oh,
growing birthing pains.
oh, for sure. Well, and so when I think about the Civil War, just, being a Westerner, and that's the thing that I was taught the most about. Um, I think about all the good things that actually came of that, even though so many people stood up and were willing to make sacrifices. I mean, that's what started the Red Cross. Um, and that was people showing up when there's a time of disaster, and that's still functioning and still helps anytime there's a hurricane or, it's like communities coming together. It's very Aquarian, actually. Um,
But usually only
which is
happens in
the age we're
crisis.
going in. Which is maybe that's what's the paradigm shift that we're going to make is doing that without needing a crisis event to push us into it. Do you know what I mean?
That'd be nice.
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be a new ideal? It's like, let's
That'd
not
be
wait
nice.
for crisis and
Very
someone to threaten us with a bomb. Let's
unique.
all just jointly decide and rise up that we're just like there is no such thing as child endangerment anymore. We're just not going to allow it. Like, try it because you will be you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, we shall see. We shall see.
right. But like so, but now
100%.
how do we? So that's like the big picture, right? There's eclipse cycles coming. It's actually the first because I love eclipses and I use them. So the reason to talk about this and the reason I get excited about all of this is that I've been using like what is the energy present? How do we use it to harness it for good? For ourselves, for everyone else around us, that's what I teach clients constantly is in we're not trying to be afraid of this. We're leaning into it so that we can use it. So let's say this first eclipse cycle that's coming. So Neptune starts on January 26th, and then that's why February is just so jam-packed. It's not normal for us to have like Neptune changing signs, Saturn changing signs on the 13th of February, February 17th then. So just 3 days later, a solar eclipse happens in Aquarius. Then we've got a Mercury retrograde that kicks off like a week later. Then we've got a total lunar eclipse happens on March 3rd. So it's like from February 13th through March 3rd. Whoa. So like that back half of February, what are you gonna, here's a good way to ask it. Somebody just said, take it down to like, what are you two gonna do? Sam, you're gonna be in Wales.
Yeah. Well,
You're
I think
literally landing like on the 13th, right? The day Saturn enters Aries.
Eve on the 13th. I think one of the things is that how can I explain this on a personal level? Sometimes you have to do a lot of things that you don't particularly want to do or pushes you. This is the year it's going to push you out of your comfort zone. Going home for 3 months is not in my fucking comfort zone, right? It's
Mhm.
not what I had in. I did not have that on any model of reality, of my reality, of what was coming for 2026, right? Wasn't there. Um, but I could have, so things happened in my world that made me just either break down completely or just go, how can I use this for my good? How can I use this for the highest good? I could make some drastic changes, leaving my kids for 3 months, going overseas. There's going to be chaos in that and fabulousness. I get to see my family after 5 years, blah, 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 that I'm going to miss my kids. But there is going to be some, I feel like, not just for my life, but on a collective level, the end of January leading up into that mid-Feb, there is going to be that snake energy of shedding. So if anyone feels like they've been almost typically like me for the last 2-3 years, why has nothing changed? Like, I'm trying everything, nothing has happened. And it's almost like what has happened, the energy is going to make you go, actually, kid, this is all you. I'm going to make you feel really fucking uncomfortable until you do the things you need to. Like, we're going to put big changes in there so you can get what you want, but we have to do it so drastically. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Like the job you might lose your job, the relationship might break up, but it's almost tapping you back into putting you somewhere that you out of that comfort zone. We can't glide along this year in comfort. We can't Netflix and chill. We can't be stuck in fear and paralysis or distraction because we're going to have to move out of it. And if we resist, I feel like we're going to feel displaced in our own lives. Does that make sense? We're going to feel like I don't belong here. Like, but there are so many, that's what I mean by the energy can be so quick.
Mhm.
It's going to ask you to react differently to what you've done over the last 2 to 3 years, I feel. Do you know what I mean?
You know, so I'm going to go back to Neptune, which is why it keeps getting my attention. You know what's so interesting is I heard an astrologer say this, and I would totally give them credit if I could remember who it was, but I've listened to a couple of things in the last 2 weeks. I heard one say, think about 2011 and what all happened for you in 2011, because that's the last time that Neptune changed signs and it went into Pisces. And they said, if I were to sum up, so this astrologer was talking about, if I were to sum up what all I've seen shift in like my own life, 2011 is really when social media kicked off. That's actually when Netflix took off. So Neptune, which is kind of a dreamy planet because of all the water, moving into Pisces, which is another dreamy planet. There's been a lot of idea generation, but not a lot of action because
Action. Yeah.
because of the escapism that brings. That's also why we're starting to hear people say and almost cheer for social media going away. And I'm like, I don't think it's going away, but I understand why they're saying that. It's like everyone's trying to bring in some structure because we're done with the escapism, and that's so Neptune moving into Aries is actually going to be like, okay, these ideas that I've had for the last decade or more, instead of just escaping, and you already had said it once in our little conversation here, we can't just Netflix and chill. It's that shift from leaning so much into escapism and social media and scrolling and all those things, and like, I'm done with that. I have to put that down, but now what am I going to do though? those question marks of like, okay, well, so then, well, now how am I going to fill my time? Like, what do I actually care about? That's when I say this year feels really existential to me because it's kind of calling, 2026 is calling on us to kind of answer that for ourselves. Like, stop
100.
escaping, but what does that mean you actually want to do?
What do you want? I think the other question that is really coming in is be honest. Like, and if there is no right answer to this, right? What potential are you living at? Like, what percentage of your potential are you living at? If I look at me over the last couple of years, I was probably coasting between, I don't know, around about 10 to 30% up and down, up and down. How much do I want though? Like, and if there is no right answer to that, 50% of my potential will be okay. You want 100%, you got to go all in. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
It's those, I think this beginning of this year is really asking us to pay attention. There's no escape this year. That's a good 2 words. No escape this year in distraction or anything from our own flaws or shadows. Because
Yep.
no matter how much we can give ourselves excuses, like that Aries, Saturn energy and Neptune is gonna plunk it to pieces. Do you know what I mean? We're gonna be seeing through the veils are off. We've got to see through our own illusions. And I'm unhappy because I'm still in this relationship or job or I'm still not making the money I want. Like ultimately that comes down to us, back to our beliefs, back to what we believe, those types of things. Like it's that, and then it's taking action in the world, not just up here in our imagination. Do you know what I mean? To make it happen. And I think if you can do that, fuck, no matter what is going on the outside, but you could create, there's a miraculous energy to this, there's a miraculous energy to this as well, and deeply mystical. So, and I think you can quantum jump your life. So one of the other things, but it's going to take years for me to make millions or to find the love of my life and get married. Bullshit. I think this year it can happen like that, like quite out of the, like, think of that bloody Poseidon rod. Do you know what I mean? Like literally it can, I think it feels like a very heavy internally creation. It's got a lot of creation ability, essence, energies, as well as destructive. And that destructive means, especially for each of us individually, what do we need to destruct in our own lives? Whether that is me living in Australia for 3 months, whether that is, do you know what I mean? Like it's going to ask us, it's going to feel change. We all hate change. We humans only change when it becomes so fucking uncomfortable. This year will feel uncomfortable unless we take action on it. And the worst thing is, or the easiest thing about it is, even if you do decide to change, right? It's usually only the first step that is hard. It's the hours of, I don't want to get on the treadmill. I don't want to start exercising. That almost that shame and guilt we have around those things. So I still haven't started and it's another Monday. Like that first step is usually feels like the hardest, right? But once you're in it, you're in it. It's the commitment to ourselves. I think we've got to commit to ourselves this year, not in a selfish way, but I deserve to feel love or abundance or I'm worthy of feeling all of our intuition. I want to open these gifts and those types of things. And I think if you can step into this also in a very Neptunian way of curiosity, so you're constantly asking questions. You don't have to have the answers. What would it feel like? Like what to fall in love? What would it feel like to like if I was living at my highest potential? How would that feel?
Mm-hmm.
That's when that Poseidon rod, if you like, gets to receive the information. But it can, and this is the same as talking to your spirit guides, doing what me or you do when we channel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never like, okay, I'm going to tap in and connect and feel like, it's almost like you just become curious. What does this person need in front of me? We don't know the answers. They'll just come in sporadically as we're talking to someone. Do you know what I mean? It's that we don't know how we're going to have to create whatever we do by the end of 2026. But if we are constantly walking in that trust or that place of, let me just receive it, it's going to come in. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Almost assumption is a big thing this year. Do you know as well? Like assume it's or that essence or that law of expectation. I
Mm-hmm.
think is big because it is quite a magic mystical energy, Neptune, right?
It is.
But
Yeah.
that's why I'd like to think of Saturn like Gandalf this year. Do you know what I mean? And really, if you think of Lord of the Rings, it does feel like it's dark and light going this year. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
on a mystical, spiritual level as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, when I think of so when I was getting ready for this, I saw a lot of flashes of the Little Mermaid because I was thinking about Neptune and that it was Poseidon, and then I just for my own self and processing, I was like, the Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries that's happening in February is essentially like the Little Mermaid come to life, but and let me explain how. So so Saturn and Aries coming together is the complete dissolution of illusion. So that's what those two coming together, the father
Yeah.
that's going to take stuff down if it's not real, and Neptune being like, here's what's real, and also here's illusion, is like, which is everybody's talking about this, and but I think it's such a great example is in 1989, which was the last time those two planets were at the exact same degree as when the Berlin Wall fell down. And all the implications of that and what led up to it, a lot of that wasn't great, but ultimately it was for the betterment and thing this wall that somebody had built that everyone was adhering to in one day just came down. That's how fast something's going to change that makes it into the history books like that wall falling down.
Yeah. Oh, I think it could be one for the history books for each of us if we allow it to be. Do you know what I mean? As
Correct.
well
In
as all
our
the
own
other.
lives and in the collective. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel, yeah, I feel like you got to dive in 2026 and merge with those creation. I think you got to have, we can get into that childlike essence of fun and play and not taking it serious. And as in, it doesn't have to get me this, but like, because, you know, like God's plans are always way greater than ours. Do you know what I mean? Like, we got to let go of control this year, do you know? Because I think things are going to happen which are totally out of our control in our own lives on the big plan. And that's okay, because sometimes some of the most beautiful things happen when we didn't expect them. You probably met your husband when you didn't expect, you know, you might be
Yeah.
manifesting him, but you didn't think that date was going to be the one that you were going to, you know, have the rest of your life with. Those types of things, Joe. It's like again, going back to that, or full circle back to that mystic path.
Mhm.
It's in the unknown or the unseen that the magic happens, which is still very Neptunian, right? Under the veil.
It is. It is. And it's so interesting that you said that it's about having fun with it because you know how we looked at your own chart and it's the sixth house that it's kind of really energizing because that's where 0 degrees Aries is for you. For me, it's in my fifth house, which
Fun,
is
creativity.
childlike, fun, creativity. And how do I bring that in, especially right
Wow.
now, but how do I really let that infuse into my life for
That
at
was big
least the
when I
next 10 years?
channeled for you the other day on the live when I was channeling. I was like, oh, it feels like a lot of fun. You're weaving in a check. Yeah. Yeah.
That and it's so exactly. So I was typing, I was like, yes, it all resonates. And now I get to explain to you why. I was like, she doesn't realize she's tapping into the fact that this is in my fifth house, but that's
Yeah.
why she's seeing what she's seeing is because I'm going to have a lot more fun with it and hopefully help others have more fun with it. But I will tell you, my mantra, well, I haven't solidified it. It's what my mom asked me. Shout out, mom, if you're watching this. She asked what my mantra was because I usually like pick a word or a mantra, and I said it's not my circus, not my monkeys. Because there's gonna be so many things that could distract you if you allow it. You could say that any day of always, but especially with this much energy and movement and change going on for us internally, outside of ourselves, with the whole collective, and we don't know how this is all going to play out because of all the human free will that's running around. It's like, not my circus, not my monkeys. Yours, you talked about courage. We've talked about quantum leaps. We talked about like, we talked about a lot, but what would you say is like, I don't want to pigeonhole you into just one, but yeah, like what would you say would be a great mantra for you or for anybody for this year? Well,
um, I don't know. The word that came, like, it's not even a real word, but like, it almost feels like like giddy up. Do you know what I mean? Like just get on, we're going for a ride, sort of thing. And if you think of it like in that, I do sort of feel like let me just be serious about this because I'm like, what? Why did that come in? I think
Because there's going to be so
because
much
I think
movement. All that Aries energy is going to move whether you like it or
a lot of
not. So like
movement
let's
and
move
it's
with it.
yeah, like almost like yeah, yeah, like it's gonna take you for a ride. This year will take us for a ride. And we can either decide whether we're gonna have fun on it or it's gonna scare the hell out of us. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, but I really feel like if there's discernment is big this year. Do you know what I mean? Don't get like discernment in a really divine way for ourselves. It does this, but is this mine? Does this belong to me? That goes to fear on other people's projections onto us, those types of things. But I really feel like a big sovereignty is needed this year to hold your dreams as sacred, to hold what you are creating as sacred, almost like we would as if we were pregnant with our own kids. Do you know what I mean? Like we can create something sacred this year, but you have to hold it in reverence as well. Do you know what I mean? Like
That's what you just said is a very beautiful way of not my circus, not my monkeys. It's like I know that this can be a pivotal year, a quantum leap year for anyone, including me. And that's going to require that I don't allow myself to get too distracted by what all else the energy is
but like
doing with this year.
some of my family have turned around to me and said, if she comes home, she'll never go back. I'm like, thank you for that, right? My kids live here. Of course I'm coming back. But there is, oh, she'll never do what she's meant to do in her business, whatever they're yabbering on about is irrelevant. Do you know what I mean? That is your
Mhm.
reality you're living in. That's not mine. And does that feel true to me? Yes or no? Am I going to hold that? Am I going to, I don't even need to defend it. Does that make sense? You don't need to.
For sure.
So because you said it earlier, you can be pulled back into things. It's like not my circus, not my monkey this year as well. It doesn't matter. Like hold yourself, your energy field sacred this year. Be really careful of the glasses that the, the reality that you're seeing out of. If you are expecting scarcity or fear or those types of things, like you can still feel fear, but know that, right, this is going to take me to be, if there's fear, there's also bravery, right? Where there is fear, there is love. To live is to die. It is that juicy this year. We have to be able to hold both. And back to you going down the middle path of that goddess of peace. That's the 0 point of neutrality. See them both on either side, the monkey, the angel and the devil or whatever, and be able to walk in sovereignty, head held high to where you're going. But you have to set that destination for yourself and keep focused on it. Do you know what I mean? Whatever that looks like for you. Because I do, and then it'll be like giddy up, like we're on the fucking path, we're on the journey. Because I feel like this year will feel like a journey for us.
Mm-hmm. The last thing I'm going to bring, because I know you've got to go and so do I too, and I hope this has been helpful for anybody that's watching and listening. You had mentioned how much dreams are going to pick up this year. I have I have for a long time, any clients or anyone in Soul Speakeasy that's heard me say this, I, and this ties back to something you taught me a long time ago with the blueprints. Like I am not like my throat chakra, my energy and my gifts really live in like my throat and in my channel. So I'm the prolific dreamers that are all like the third eye people out there. That's not really me. I mean, yes, there's a lot of energy between those two things, but my dreams just in the last month. Uh, it's been such a fun conversation with my husband every morning we wake up because he's always been a
Where did you go?
dreamer.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of dream stuff that happens. He's always subconsciously processing and is moving around and like having soccer tournaments or fighting dragon. Like his dreams are off the charts. He's for sure got a lot of energy right there. Um, I have been coming through and waking up and knowing things, just very prolific dreams or
Yeah.
direction in my dreams. So I would say
100%. Yeah.
say like really pay attention. If I could give anyone a pro tip, like do not underestimate what's coming through in your dreams right now, especially if you'll just give them permission.
So I literally never dream. So I was one of those people, I would just close my eyes and it'd be black and I'd wake up. Never ever, unless I was pregnant. Like then I would dream of one person for the whole pregnancy, right? It's just weird.
Wow.
I've dreamed up until the last 3 months. I'm like, no, I had a dream last night. Like I'm constantly dreaming. One thing you can do, especially in this energy, is direct it. Say to your guide, say to your higher self, what do you want me to know? Bring that through my dreams. And
Yeah.
be prepared to wake up from it. But even my family members who aren't spiritual in the slightest, they're remembering their dreams. What does this mean? What does this mean? So dreams are like
Yeah.
so big at the moment because I think our subconscious is constantly trying to, that veils off. It's
Mhm.
ready to be revealed, you know?
Yeah,
But yeah,
I agree.
so I totally get that with the dreams. But yeah, direct them, ask, and you
This
will
has
receive people.
This has been so fun. You know what I'm going to do in the notes? I'm going to go back through because I've got my little AI assistant on. I'm going to do a summary of some of what came up and share that with everybody in the notes for this on YouTube of what all came up.
Well, it's been a pleasure. I've loved
You
speaking to you.
too. Thanks for joining me. I feel like I'm ignited just by having this conversation. Like I know all of this, but to get to bounce it off with someone
Yeah.
else.
Giddy up. Here we come,
Yes.
2026. Let's go. You're the horse. Okay.
Bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.